Shannon, how impressed were you with Simmons' return to Philly?
What am I impressed by? Brooklyn lost to a team without their three best players. Skip, we talked about this yesterday. We said, like, man, this should be easy pickings. No Joel Embiid inside, no James Harden, no Tyrese Maxey. And they lose to this team? Tobias Harris had a season high, 24 points. Now, we all know Tobias Harris is a max player that's avoided criticism. They signed Tobias Harris over Jimmy Butler, much to the chagrin of Joel Embiid. DeAnthony Melton had a season high, 22 points. Paul Reed had 19 points. Before last night, Paul Reed had 8 games of 0 points. He had 5 games of 2 points. He came into the night averaging 0.8 points a game. The man had 19 and 10. Now, Ben Simmons had to be guarding one of those guys. Either he was guarding Paul Reed, Tobias Harris, or DeAnthony Melton. One of those guys he was guarding, and they had season highs on his watch. Skip the Nets offer. I got crushed on the glass again by 14. Skip, the Sixers had 20 offensive rebounds with no Joel Embiid. No Joel Embiid, and you give up 20 offensive boards. 22 second chance points, you had 7. Skip, this is embarrassing. Yeah, I mean, he got close. I thought he'd have, I think I said 12, 8, and 7. I think I said something like that. So I was close. He had 11 assists. He had more assists than I thought he would have. Pretty close in rebounds, pretty close in points. But I wasn't impressed with anything. This is embarrassing. The Brooklyn Nets should be embarrassed about what that performance that they put out there last night. Everybody, from top to bottom, not just Ben Simmons. And he gonna talk about, I thought, why you care? See, Skip, he worried about the wrong thing. But I thought the reception was gonna be worse than that. So I thought y'all was gonna play better than what you played. He's worried about the wrong thing. That's terrible. That was a terrible performance all around from the Brooklyn Nets. And no, I wasn't impressed because a team without the 3 best players and no big presence inside, Ben Simmons should have 8. Ben Simmons should have had 31, 11, and 7. Paul Reed from DePaul. Now, Skip, back in the 80s, DePaul was a powerhouse. When they had Coach Myers coaching, they had Mark Aguirre. They were a really good team in the 80s. I'm old enough to remember when they were really good.
I covered them in Chicago when they were still pretty good.
Yeah, so they're not this, but no, Skip, you can't have 3 guys. 3 best players are out, and then you get 3 guys get season highs. Come on, man, come on, Skip.
By the way, Paul Reed was the G League MVP, just for the record.
Skip, he was the 58th pick in the draft.
Okay, but again, I've liked him when he gets in. Here's the big picture takeaway for me. Remember, I picked the Sixers to win the East, and it was because of this depth. But unfortunately, on a nightly basis, the depth doesn't get much of a chance because the other guys just dominate the ball. It was funny listening to Tobias Harris after the game. He said, I knew that for once I was actually going to get to touch the ball a lot tonight because he was going to be relied upon to be the scorer that he is capable of being, that he often is not. Okay, so I got that. I did tweet the word embarrassed. I'm with you on that. They should be humiliated over what happened because this was the classic case of what Dick Motta used to say to me when he was the coach of the Dallas Mavericks. Dick Motta once upon a time won a championship in this league, and he used to...
With the old Bullets, right?
Yeah.
They're the Wizards now, but they were called that back
once
then.
Once upon a time they were, and they beat Seattle in the finals.
They did.
And he was the ringmaster of that one.
Bobby Danrich, Elvin Hayes, Wes Unseld.
That is correct. But he used to call it the wounded tiger syndrome. And he said, in this league, all the teams have enough talent that if you aren't careful, if you don't go out and match intensity with the subs, you're liable to get embarrassed. And they got hugely embarrassed. And it mainly, you can attribute it to, look, the Sixers made 16 of 32 three-point shots. Well, if you do that, if you're going to make 16 threes, you're going to have a chance to embarrass the other team. And they did. So we got the usual stat machines. Look at what KD and Kyrie did. They're like solo stat machines who operate in their solo universe independent of this thing called defense because they don't seem to care about the defense. But Kevin makes 9 of 14. That works, right? Even though it was only 20 points, he had a string of 25 pluses to start the year. But Kyrie made 10 of 18. Well, that looks pretty good on paper, right? They got embarrassed.
But Skip, they got to be in the mid-30s in order for them to win a game. They can't be in the Skip. They can't score 20 points, 43 points between the two of them and win.
All right. So now back to Ben Simmons. I was impressed with how he handled himself, given the demons that I think he's still fighting deep in his subconscious that all got their starts in Philadelphia. And so to go back, you've been there before where you had to go back, but you didn't get really booed.
No, I didn't.
mean, nobody booed you,
I didn't.
but he was ready for the boos, and I thought he handled the boos fairly well. The point you make is a good point because I think he was so fixated on, I just got to survive the night psychologically and emotionally, that the winning part is irrelevant.
Right.
Like whatever's happening on the scoreboard is irrelevant. I just got to survive and advance to the next game, right? So his numbers are pretty good because it's who he is.
Right.
I keep telling you, he is an extremely gifted basketball player who's gifted completely unconventionally because he can't shoot a lick.
Correct.
But he did go to the free throw line last night. Early, he had 2, and he made 1, and then he went up the court like, I got you.
He did the Michael Jordan shrug.
Like, hey, I made a free throw. Okay.
Y'all thought I was going to miss these?
Okay, for him, that was a big deal, and he makes 3 out of 6. So he winds up with 11 points, but he had 11 assists.
Yes.
And he had 7 rebounds.
Yes.
Okay, so he had a Jason Kidd almost triple-double.
Correct.
But then you keep looking across the stat sheet and you say, well, wait a second, he had 3 steals.
3 blocks.
And he had 3 blocks to go with 3 turnovers. But that's who he is.
Yeah.
He can put those numbers in columns in the stat, in the box score that the others can't do because the other, he's a good fit for this team, but it didn't matter last night because when push came to shove, when they needed to really ratchet it up and put the pedal to the metal in the fourth quarter, what did Ben Simmons do in the fourth quarter? Help me out here.
I don't think he scored.
He played 5 minutes. He didn't even take a shot. He didn't obviously attempt a free throw. He didn't have a rebound, and he didn't have an assist. He did have a steal, and he did have a couple of block shots, which is decent. But again, what was he doing in the fourth quarter? He was staying away from the basketball because I think he didn't want to go to the free throw line, right?
But here again, what happened? They allowed the Sixers to shoot 50% from the floor, 60% from the three-point line.
Yep.
They made 5 or 6 free throws, and they scored 30 points.
That's what
happened.
Boom,
and that's it because you don't play defense.
Yep.
Kevin Durant only played 6 minutes in the fourth quarter. I'm like,
well, he yanked all the starters with about 5 minutes left because
But he only took 1 shot, Skip.
Yep.
I mean,
no, I got it. I kept waiting for him to say, okay, now we're going to go, and now they didn't go.
I don't care what anybody say. Kevin Durant over Brooklyn.
Maybe.
He's over Brooklyn, Skip.
Yeah. I mean, he'll play offense. But
I'm saying he's going to play hard. He's not going to quit. But he want to be somewhere else. He don't want to be in Brooklyn anymore.
You could be right. So I think Ben Simmons, in the big picture, was very relieved that he got that behind him. I think it was a huge psychological hurdle for him as he fights off all the demons in the back of his head.
But he did get the crowd chicken nuggets because he missed 2 free throws.
He did that. Yeah.
And the Skip, okay, you make the 2 free throws and you give the shrug. But every time you make a shot, you can't shush the crowd. Yeah. You can't be shushing the crowd in the third quarter, bro. You got to wait until the ball game, late in the ball game, and you hit the dagger shot.
Okay, but for him, that was his game 7. You know, like he just needed to get through game 7, right? And be respectable. And the numbers are respectable. Yeah. The only number that's not respectable is the final score of the game because it's a humiliation.
Yes, you lost by 9 without the 3 best players.
115 to 106.
How you get out, Skip? How you get out rebounded by 14 with no Joel Embiid on the court?
Desire.
If Paul Reed gave you 19 and 10, what the hell would Embiid have given you? 50 and 20, he'd have had an AD night.
Man. Agreed.
he'd had AD night, Skip.
Yeah. Okay, well, the Sixers are on notice because when they get their 3 best players back, you would think that this looks like a pretty good roster, right?
Oh, it is. But I don't think they can beat Boston. I don't think they can beat because Chris Middleton hadn't played the snap yet, hadn't dribbled the ball yet this year. He's coming back. I don't believe they can mess with those 2 teams. Those are clearly the 2 best teams in the East that I've seen thus far.
Speaking of intensity and commitment and focus, when Joel Embiid decides, he's the biggest monster in the league to me. So he has to decide on a nightly basis, and then the next issue is he has to be healthy on a nightly basis, okay? And it's one thing after another. It's a foot, it's his stomach, it's this.
What do most big men suffer from?
I got it.
His feet. Bill Walton, they ruined it. It ended his career, basically ended his career. Yeah, he played another 5, 6, 7 years, Skip, but he was never the same Big Red that dominated the NBA Finals, that was Rookie of the Year, that won the NBA Finals, was Finals MVP. He was never that again.
He was the league MVP.
Yes! He absolutely were.
The first 2 years, he was a sensation.
He could do it all. And then the feet, Sam Boyd, big.
Yep.
Oh, I mean, Skip, Joel Embiid, what do you think Joel weighs? 320? At least. He's
He
at
looks
least
like
300.
he slimmed down a little bit this year.
But Skip, man,
I know for a fact he's changed his diet.
on a 7'2" frame.
I got it. I got it. Yeah, he's 3 bills for sure.
Easy.
Okay, but when he's right,
Oh, yeah, he's legit. Oh.
hey, there's nobody righter when he's right.
Yeah.
And if they could get, then I don't know what's wrong with James. He's always got something wrong with him.
Now, he got, like I said, I don't know what kind of shoes they're wearing. Maybe they're wearing flip-flops at practice or shoot around or something.
know.
But how you have your 3 best players and they basically dealing with the same type of injury, a foot injury?
I don't know. But just from a distance, because I am a Ben Simmons fan, I was proud of him for getting through it. I know it doesn't count on the scoreboard, but just to get through that and be, I think we can say he was respectable, right?
Yeah, I mean, but Skip, we got to expect more from a 3-time All-Star and a 2-time All-NBA defensive player.
Yeah.
We got to expect more than
Okay, but I think he's
respectable.
he's on the trail back. Maybe not to that glory, because it's hard to be rookie of the year, make 3 straight All-Star teams
Right.
and 2 straight first-team All-Defense. It's hard to do.
Right.
And I don't know if he'll ever re-achieve that again.
Sometimes he moved like his back was his back. You can tell he had something wrong with his back because he's not as fluid as he once was.
Yeah. He did play. I got one last one I wanted to show for those who didn't get to see the game. He was trying as hard as he could try because he made one play at the end of the half. That's his value to this team.
Yes.
But if the 2 superstars are unplugged, it doesn't matter.
But Skip, he can't play defense well enough by himself to overcome the lack of players that they have that's defensive minded.
Yep.
I mean, when you give up for a plus 14 with no Joel Embiid, you know Joel Embiid is a 12 rebound a night guy.
He is. Easy. Yeah.
And they normally get out-rebounded every night. They get crushed on the offensive end every night. That's why they're damn near to the bottom when it comes to second-chance points, what they give up. Because the team just crashes, kills them on the board. Claxton, he tries, Skip, but he's just too light. I mean, he's 6 or 7.
Yeah. My biggest frustration with Kevin Durant, who I have called in the past many times best player on the planet, is you're 7 feet tall. Can't you do better than 5 rebounds? I mean, it just seems like by chance you could get 7 or 8 rebounds just by accident.
Yeah, Kevin Durant played 37 minutes and then commit 1 foul.
No. Not there.
Raptors, and for the 76ers, they face the Hornets.
Thanks for watching, Undisputed fans. Subscribe here to get the very latest from Skip and Shannon. Plus, go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.